Welcome to Dear Husband, Dear Wife with Danny and Jenny Fuentes, a podcast about dating, marriage, and sex, where we break it down, keep it real, and unashamedly go there. Our goal is to foster a space that welcomes you to have conversations with us regarding these topics. And since we believe in seeking the truth about these topics, we guarantee to keep a biblical perspective in all things related. So go ahead and grab your favorite drink and or put those earbuds because it's about to get real.
Hey guys,
Hello again.
this is Dear Husband, Dear Wife with Danny and Jenny. I am Danny, this is Jenny.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for all of you guys who have been tuning in with us and hearing a lot about what's been, just sharing a lot about our story and whatnot. We are coming to the end of our story, and we are very excited that we're actually going to start finally a series. And so today's going to be our last episode, and we just wanted to build trust with each and every single one of you guys and community.
Last episode of the story,
Yes.
not necessarily like the final episode. That would be pretty funny though.
Yes. So we are letting you guys know two things. First and foremost, sound quality will be better. A lot
guys,
better.
We need your money, so give us your money. Okay? Put in some overtime at work. Let's go get those Instacart, batches going. All you people that do Grubhub, let's kick it up a notch, guys. We need some moolah.
And then what's going to happen is, like I said, we're going to get better quality sound. So thank you so much for bearing with us. And the second thing that I wanted to say is, like Danny said, it's not the end of the episode. It's just, or the podcast, it's just we wanted to build trust with our community so that community knows exactly where we are coming from.
Yeah, we just wanted to share, about our experiences and lives before we officially got married. So like that, once we have that in stone, then you know exactly where we're coming from, rather than just, get to the point. And there's no beef to the burger, if you will.
So with that being said, we ended in our last episode talking about what our dating story basically. And so in this episode, we want to let you know that we broke off. We broke it off, and we had a broken engagement. And after 4 years of dating, no, 3.5 years of dating, we broke it off. Danny had proposed to me, and we broke it off. And that breakup was extremely necessary.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't see it that way. My heart was super shattered and broken. But as you've already heard, Danny had a lot of garbage and a lot of baggage that he was carrying that he needed to get rid of and that he needed to heal. And that's not to dismiss the fact that I also had some childhood wounds that needed to be healed, yet I wasn't aware of them at that moment. But the breakup actually really, really helped both of us to take the moment to heal and to reflect because we entered into a relationship broken. We were both very broken individuals. And so we wanted to make sure that, Danny, first and foremost, kudos to you, baby, for being brave enough.
Nobody calls me baby.
For being brave enough to break it off with me. So I guess my question to you, Danny, is this. What was going through your head when you first were thinking about the breakup, and why did you break up with me?
It was definitely necessary. Because I already done a lot of damage and it just kept piling up, I honestly felt like, okay, I can either choose to keep this to myself, not say anything, get married, and then at some point it comes out in life and we'll see how that goes. Or I, make the decision to end the engagement and, confess everything and possibly lose you and everything that we had already been working on. So I went with the second option, and I honestly thought to myself, like, okay, I thought that was it. I didn't think we were ever going to get back together, and I thought that, I would never see you again, in all honesty. I had already made up my mind that I was going to not bother you. I was going to stay away. I wasn't going to interact with you or your family. And after that, my prayer was more just solely focused on God just healing your heart, mending what I had broken, and allowing you the opportunity to find love again with someone else. So, that was actually my prayer. So I kept praying for that.
Obviously, that didn't work.
Yeah, Jesus totally ignored my prayers.
The beautiful thing about that is, though, is that at that moment, I really felt, like I said, I felt really hurt and really broken. But I also got to see God move in Danny's life and in my life. We didn't talk for about a year.
I don't remember exactly how long, but yeah, there was definitely no contact.
Yeah.
According to my little brother and Jenny, I had hit rock bottom. So
Yes, his little brother would
entered
contact me and I
into
would check in.
entered into depression, and I resorted to the comfort of food. So I gained a ton of weight. Um, I didn't care about myself anymore. Um, I just felt like I had no purpose in life. And so I just practically ate myself to death.
And I mean, that goes to show that you were brokenhearted also then.
Yeah. I mean, but everybody reacts
Pain.
to pain and trauma in different ways. Sort to anger and find some kind of comfort in anger. Others, you know, dive themselves into just an insane busy schedule and just busy, 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 work, work, work. Others will probably sort to something much healthier like exercise but for me it was just food. I just ate and I couldn't stop.
And so I guess my question to you, Danny, would be, what was your, like, after you broke it off with me?
Hey, this isn't an interview. we're just talking.
I know, but I just think people should know.
Yeah, well, you could just ask the question. You don't have to. It's not an interview.
I'm being so formal, right,
I
Danny?
know.
I guess the question is, babe, um, like, what did you do in that time after you realized, okay, I am depressed, um, I am dealing with this pain? Um, what did you do to get out of it?
I kind of didn't want to. That's the thing about I guess depression for me. I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, I didn't want to. I was content where I was, and I think I didn't want to because again, I saw how much damage I made and how much I hurt you and your family. Not obviously not just you, but your family. Um, and I felt so horrible that I thought like I deserved to walk into whatever punishment or bad karma is coming my way. And so I didn't really, you know, I didn't pray to get out of it. I just prayed that I prayed more for you so that like God would just mend your heart so that you can move forward. Like that's honestly what my prayer was. I wasn't praying about, oh Lord, how do I get out from here? Like that wasn't my concern. My concern was more like, please Lord, please, like I want Jenny to be able to forget about me and just to move on. And now that I've, verbalized what I've been dealing with, then I can start my own healing process by myself. Like I no longer have to worry about dragging anybody that has nothing to do with all my crap, and then just dump it on them because I care about them. That's honestly what my focus was. And so that was my prayer for a while. And again, and obviously God didn't, I don't know what he did with those prayers, but um, what I was praying for is not what I got.
No, definitely not. I think sometimes we tend to pray and ask God for certain things in prayers, but the power of prayer, I think, is one of these beautiful things. Is that even though we may be praying for other people, Jesus is always interceding for us, and He knows the desires of your heart and of our hearts. So though you want it, maybe you really wanted that, or at least your brain, your thought process wanted that, but deep inside you were hurting. Deep inside you still loved me, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
and and
definitely.
and I think that's the beauty of, like, Proverbs. That's the beauty of God. Like Proverbs says it, that the heart is deceiving, and only God knows our heart, and He um, knows the innermost parts of our thought. And we know that in Psalm 139, that says it in Psalm 139. And so, like, He searches your heart in the midst of prayers, in the midst of what you are thinking and what you're going through. That though you may know what you want or think you know what you want, God really knows the depths of our hearts. And so He responds to those prayers. And I think in a way, the beautiful thing about prayer is that when we're praying for others and interceding for others, God is also working in your life. And that's what happened with you, babe. I think that God was totally working in your life as you were praying for me, and you were, hoping that God would do something in my life. For me, it was different. Like for me, in that, and you're right. I think for me, depression went the other way. I was the busy one. I dove into grad school, finished grad school, and I didn't have time. I didn't want to think about you. I didn't want to think about anything because you had really broken my heart. So when your little brother would tell me that he was worried and concerned about you, um, a part of me was really angry that he would text me and let me know. But then the other part of me also knew that deep inside I loved you and I cared for the well being of you. And so I just remember just going through a lot of, like, healing and processing our breakup, and giving room and space to talk to other people that would help me process this. But it took time. And I think, when anyone experiences a breakup, one of the best things that I can advise, and I really hate giving advice, but I think in this case I would want to say
Maybe an opinion.
an opinion.
An
Thank you.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, baby. I think an opinion I have is, when you are in pain, when you've experienced a broken heart, whether it be by loss of a relationship, loss of a loved one, and not necessarily death, but just the literal meaning of loss, um, you should find someone to really just walk you through the process and through the loss. Someone that you can confide on, whether it be a therapist or whether it be a mentor. And that's what I did. I kind of started talking to mentors, or people that I would want to consider mentor. And I started getting mentored by people. And some people, their their way of mentoring was not working for me. So I was like, screw that. I'm not going to continue with you. So I found what worked for me and who was a good person to talk to. And for a moment there, I kept talking to an older woman in the church, and and she was married, she had kids, and she just kept mentoring me for a season of my life. And that's how I was able to heal.
I think for me it was I don't know, I kind of have this thing where sometimes in my life I like to kind of be alone. And I don't see that in the sense of like, oh, I'm getting, I'm thinking bad thoughts or I'm thinking about harming myself. I've never, I've never gone that far. But I wanted to be alone because I felt like I wanted to really like dig into my own life and find out why I did the things I did and how did I end up where I was. How did I go from just a regular average kid who had nothing but video games in his brain to all of a sudden, looking at porn, thinking about pornography, looking at girls that I found interesting, but at the same time wondering what they looked like naked. And to this day, I have no idea. I don't know why, but it's something that I have to. I'm not gonna take my life to just dedicate it to that question, but you know, um, that's what I experienced. I went through all of that, and I just felt like maybe one day this can help somebody. I don't know who that person is. I don't know who that person is dating or married to, or you know in the process of moving on to the next chapter. But I figured if this can help somebody, or if this can give someone that moment where they're like, oh, maybe I should slow it down a little, then it's good enough for me. And just, I mean, it's times are different now. This is a big, becoming a huge norm for a lot of people. And within the church too, which is kind of scary because, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things, at least growing up, there were a lot of things that were not okay. And then now, I'm not even I'm not even 50, but I'm only 34, and I'm seeing a bunch of things that I never thought in my life I would ever see. So yeah, I mean, this is just that this is my struggle. Pornography has always been my struggle. Um, and I just have to move forward, keep fighting. Hope to God that I don't ever watch pornography again. But I think I've told you this once, babe, that if for any reason in my life, if for any reason I somehow fell into pornography again, like I wouldn't kill myself. Like I remember I used to have the mentality where like if I did it, if I went 50, 60 years without watching it and then I saw it again, I I would have taken that as I had been watching it for the last 60 years. And I didn't realize that that was also damaging
Yeah, it was
because
really unhealthy.
I was like, why? I mean, at one point I thought to myself, like, why would I do that to myself? And why would I see it that way? So, I remember maybe when I told you that, I think if I ever did that, I mean, it would hurt, obviously. It would hurt you, of course,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't take it as something like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die tonight because I watched pornography.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to lighten the mood, and I'm not trying to say that if you do it, oh guys, don't worry about it. No. But what I am saying is that, like, I don't want it to have that power over me. Like, I don't want to feel like if for any reason, God forbid it happens, but if it did, then I don't want it to feel like I went 60 years straight watching porn.
Yeah. Which is not true.
Which
It's
is
not
not,
even
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You've gone
So,
60 years. Let's say that was the example. You have gone 60 years without
right.
watching porn. Yeah.
And that it would just be a slip. That's it. And again, that I would have the heart and the courage to forgive myself, to be forgiven, and to also just, okay, accept it. I'm loved. That's not who I am. I messed up. And just have the tools to be able to catch myself before that happens again.
Yeah. And that's really important, I think, for anyone. I think guilt and shame is the worst enemy that we have in life. And it's what drags us down. And it's what the enemy wants us to constantly feel. But scripture tells us there is no condemnation in Christ Jesus. And the truth of the matter is, it's like you are working in your life, you are being renewed on a daily basis. But because we are human, and
Yeah.
because Danny is human, he will most likely fail. And I think it's also on my behalf, being your spouse, being your wife. There's also this expectation in a way from the world that when someone fails, you shame them or you're like, wow, you judge them. I think it's the first initial like
Mhm.
reaction. And I think it's important for me to remind myself that I am as flawed and as human as
Yeah.
you are and as anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, I mean, if we're going to look at it at face value, clearly, if I had to stand next to a guy that just took someone's life, that killed someone else, and my only sin is porn. I mean, at this rate, God doesn't see me and the next person any different
Yeah.
because it's equivalent. The person that's only flaw, the person whose only flaw is, a, being a hardcore liar and can't stop lying for their lives, in comparison to someone who took a life. I mean, again, it's
Yeah.
us as humans. We're going to see that. Oh, well, obviously the guy who lies, hasn't killed anybody, so he's good.
Yeah.
But in God's eyes, it's like no.
Yeah, we forget that.
You're as messed up as this person.
Yeah.
And even if it is just lying.
Yeah, we forget that. And even in scripture in Galatians, like you see that where the liar is right literally next to the murderer when it's naming like whoever, commits murder, whoever lies, whoever commits adultery. We forget that. Like the liar is in there.
Mm.
So it's great. And we want to remind each and every single one of our listeners that, sin is sin. There's not one greater or the other, except for one that scripture really talks about that has to do about like blasphemy against the spirit. But we're not going to go there. That's not our job. That's not what we're about to explain. But we just want to say, like, in reality, um, I am very aware as Danny's wife that pornography can and maybe might affect or want to trickle in. And the enemy might want to utilize that. And it can happen. And I say it can, but doesn't necessarily mean that I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen. And if it does happen, I need to face the biggest question that is probably going to be facing me at that moment is what are you going to do about it, Jenny? And the initial probably gut reaction in my humanness would be definitely I would be hurt, but it doesn't dismiss the action either. Like I want to make sure that I make that very clear. It doesn't dismiss the action either. But I also have to really think what is worth fighting for and what is not worth fighting for. My husband has been clean for so long. Um, am I going to let one slip off? Like really break our marriage, So I think, I mean, it would be a different story if you continue to do it and do it and do it. Then that's the honest truth. Then I would probably say Danny needs help and we probably wouldn't be in this relationship right now. And we would probably need space so that you can get healthy, but everything's hard. Marriage is hard. And I think you got to pick your battles. Like marriage is hard. Divorce is also hard. And it's, you got to choose which hard you're going to do. And I would rather do marriage with you and walk with you than to try to do divorce without you.
It's scary, guys. I've thought about that. I thought about what if that happens again and I lose Jenny. And it worries me, it concerns me because where would I go? I literally have nobody. So where would I go? So things like that like come into my mind. So it just helps to also keep fighting at this and asking God to help me, and then also for God to give Jenny the understanding that pornography is not me preferring a woman to look a certain way or to behave in a certain manner in the bedroom, but it is simply just a distorted concept that trickled into my life without my understanding of it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I guess what we wanted to share with you guys today was, the broken engagement was necessary. In that season, I will say this, that you didn't say, Danny, is when we got back together, because we did get back together, we're
Obviously.
married.
Psych!
So, when we got back together about a year later from the first initial breakup, well, from the engagement breakup, I told Danny that the one condition that I would get back together with him is if he got help. Like
Yeah.
he needed to leave the church that he was a part of, and he needed to help be in a healthier community. And so for the next 3 years that we dated, 3 years and a half, I want to say, again, you got inner healing. You went through a couple of programs through our the ministry that we were a part of, and you got the help.
Yeah.
And that really really set us up for where we are right now.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you have not continued to work on it. In fact,
Yeah.
it's a daily battle. It's a daily, you every day you have to choose to pick up your cross
Yeah.
and carry it.
That's the thing too about it, guys. I mean, I do believe that, I've been healed from this.
Amen. I
But
believe that too.
but that's not to say that the enemy's gonna stop.
Hmm.
I think the difference is that, like, I now know what I can do to stay away from this. And it's just honestly to cry out, to just cry out. I mean, that's all I can do. That and obviously prayer. But I want to reach a moment in my life where I am above this, where I can still sense the enemies trying to come at me with all this crap, but that it won't phase me because I am above it.
Hmm.
And so that's the goal. That's the dream. And yeah, like you said, babe, it's a constant fight. Like every day I have to remind myself, like, okay, like I'm married, I'm a husband, I have a wife that I care for, that I love and respect. So I need to think highly, I need to think godly, I need to behave godly, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And the honest truth is that I can't do that by myself. If I'm not, if I'm not doing my devotionals, if I'm not taking the time to read my Bible, it's not gonna work. I could sit here and pretend like it is, but it won't. And so it's a constant fight every day. I have to think that way. I have to behave holier. I have to think holier because that is what is expected of me. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love what you said. I think it's an everyday thing, and I think no matter what we're struggling with, every day we should be spending time in the Word. Every day we should be spending time in prayer and trusting that God is working in us and that God is constantly renewing our minds. Romans 12:1 is talking about, Paul talks about how, you know, um, we got to renew our minds every day. And the
yeah,
renewal of our minds doesn't come just by sitting, watching TV, binge watching Netflix, or trying to ignore the pain or
mm,
trying to dig it by numbing it with other things or substituting it with other things. But by actually addressing it and by actually being in the Word and knowing what the truth is and what God says about you and combating those negative lies and thoughts that the enemy has been feeding you,
yeah,
so that you can combat that with the truth, with what God says. But we will only know the truth if we spend time in the
yeah,
truth. So yeah, I guess we just wanted to share this with you
yeah,
guys, and we wanted to just encourage you and to remind you that if God can redeem our story, He can redeem yours too.
yeah. And I also just wanted to just say for anyone that's listening, especially for those of you who are married, I hope that this doesn't bring forth any change of heart or any fighting or any change of perception of who your husband or who your spouse is. Um, I know that this subject is very sensitive, and sometimes it can go south when we don't want it to. But I just want you guys to know that you can talk about it.
Yeah.
And again, for all you women out there that have been going through this because of your boyfriends or your husbands, you are definitely not that. And you are exactly what God says you are. And
Amen.
you were made in God's image.
Well, we will see you on the flip side next time.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Yep. And we hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day or night, whatever time you're listening. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And blessings to each and every single one of you.
Yeah.
All right. Adios.
Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in. We really enjoyed hanging out with you. If you really enjoyed hanging out with us too, then we ask you for one simple favor. Go ahead and leave us a review and let us know how we did. We thank you so much and we really appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you next week. Adios.